es como un evento de lanzamiento.
¿Se lo mandaste a...
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you all at the roundtable on what is needed to create vibrant ecosystems in support of social entrepreneurs. My name is Nikolai Denchev, professor at Vrije Universiteit Brussels in Belgium. And this roundtable is part of the ELANET project, European Latin American Network in support of social entrepreneurs, where universities want to develop a very strong ecosystem supporting social entrepreneurs. We are with 17 partners, 34 associated partners. And basically, we are welcoming all your involvement into the support of social entrepreneurs. So today with me, we have Pieter-Jan van de Velde from Trividend, Lettemieke Mulder from Enactus, Raaida Mannaa from IAVE and Social Back in Colombia, and Sergio Casquero from the Peruvian Social Incubator. So let's get started, and I'm happy to give the floor to our distinguished guests today to elaborate first on what they think on the topic. Then we'll discuss and we'll have questions from you. So Pieter-Jan, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good afternoon. Hola a todos. I'll check whether my presentation works. Do you get no, I guess you don't get the presentation mode yet.
I can see it.
Did you get it right?
I just saw it, but now it has disappeared,
Okay.
Pieter-Jan.
Let me try again. Does this work? Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm the fund manager of Trividend. We are a small investment fund based in Flanders, and we invest in a sustainable world where everyone can find a job in line with his or her capacities. So our core focus is linked to creating decent jobs for people, men and women, mainly people with, for whatever reason, difficulty to access the labor market without additional support from their from the employer, the organization, the social enterprise which employs them. Next to that, we have the liberty to also invest in some other social entrepreneurs focused within the sustainable development goals. So that gives a quite broad perspective to, on the one hand, to support societal change, but also to support our own portfolio. To give an idea, about the size, which I didn't mention in the slides, we have a portfolio of about 3 million euros, and we invest or have now active investments in about 20 social enterprises, ranging from circular economy businesses in mobility solutions, bike leasing or bike sharing systems, through renewable energy. Coelect is one of the nice examples of how a support system supported them from different perspectives. They built fundraising platforms. They graduated from the VUB and got already their business support, and then we invested later on, and now they are growing to a quite substantial and successful social enterprise. We also invest, and that's the core, in several WISE's work integration, social economy enterprises. And yeah, as I said, our portfolio grew now up to, yeah, that's a bit an old graph, which I should have adapted because we grew to 2.8 million at this moment. And how do we finance? What do? We provide risk capital in different forms: subordinated loans, convertible loans, bullet loans, but also equity with quite small tickets, quite early stage companies, traditionally social enterprises, which have proven that their product works, where there's a first product market fit, but which need funding for a next step to really develop a go-to-market strategy and come to a position where they can really scale. Amounts range normally between 50 and 150K euros, which is in the Belgian context quite early stage before they manage to get often family, fools, friends and family crowdfunding for the first steps, combined with government grants. And then when they develop the product or a service, then we step in. And then the question was, why is it for us important to have vibrant ecosystems for social entrepreneurs? I think a challenge for social entrepreneurs is in general that they often start from a societal challenge they face, and not always from an intrinsic entrepreneurship ambition. So they see an opportunity, they see a need in society, and they see an option to implement, to create a business model to solve this issue. And then the first thing is, of course, a quite diverse set of skills, because definitely in an early stage startup, 2, 3, 4 people need to cover everything, from the financials, fundraising, developing go-to-market strategy, sales and marketing, but also developing the product or the service further. A lot of administration, definitely in Belgium. All the legal requirements, creating the right governance structures. So there, the challenge is definitely to build the right team with all the needed skills. Yeah, as we are a financier, funding is of course important in every step of the development of a company. Good advice because a challenge, I think, in the Belgian ecosystem is that there is a lot of support, a lot of free advice, but not always specific with the right expertise for social entrepreneurs, for circular economy, startups, for their specific context. So it's important to build the right support structure around social ventures. It's important to keep the impact orientation, and yeah, advice links a bit to a network, but I think creating the right networks around people is important, to find the right co-founders, to find business opportunities, to get the right opportunities. I put some of the support organizations in the Belgian ecosystem. There's Belgium Impact at the Belgian level, which gives visibility to social entrepreneurs, who brings them together. Solifin is a network of social financiers, which I listed some of them next to it, where we try to match the right social entrepreneurs with the right financiers, but also on specific consultants on cooperative structures, on cooperative businesses, on WISEs, on circular economy, but also those incubators which are more broader in for also traditional companies. I think it's social enterprises have their specific impact focus, but they also need all the skills which a traditional business needs. So it's an additional challenge. So they need to find the right support. And yeah, I think short 1 minute more. Here an example of cyclability, one of our investees, where we invest risk capital. Triodos Bank is a social bank which provides more bank loans. Change is another impact investor which we brought on board for a next step. Also important, and I didn't mention it on the slide, the right government support, where we get some co-funding from and support from the Flemish government to be able to fund this kind of companies. The Flemish government investor PMV also co-invested recently. So we built a consortium to finance and to create the support structures around businesses, and that's what we try to do with all our investees. But I think I used more than my time, so I'll leave the floor to the colleagues.
Thanks, Pieter-Jan, for your presentation and elaboration on the need for a vibrant ecosystem. I'm happy to give the floor now to Lettemieke. You are muted, Lettemieke.
I started by saying I will first unmute myself, which I then didn't really succeed in doing. So very nice to see you all. Well, see you all, it's very relative in these days, but in any case, happy to be there, happy to see the other panelists. Thanks, Nicolai and Abel, for inviting me, for inviting us. We as Enactus are very happy to be part of the ELANet new initiatives. We're very curious to see how it will evolve. We're sure it will pay a great contribution to vibrant ecosystems, which is the topic of today. Yeah, talking about vibrant ecosystems with Enactus, this is what we hope we are. But I want to be modest too. We have lots of challenges, and I will share a little bit about those. But first, maybe taking a little bit of a step back. What is Enactus? Well, Enactus is a global nonprofit active in 35 countries around the world, in all continents. And we focus, as many others do, on a better, more sustainable world. Now, a lot of organizations do this, and a lot of social entrepreneurs do this. But our contribution really is to create a large, well, we like to refer to it as the largest experiential learning platform dedicated to a better world, while, and this is very important, developing next generation entrepreneurial leaders and social innovators. So it's a dual track. It's focusing on creating a better world, creating societal impact, but at the same time, developing next generation entrepreneurial leaders and social innovators. In short, what do? We support teams of students. I don't know whether you hear the same awful noise. It's over now, right? In short, we support teams of student social entrepreneurs. Now, how do we do this? We have a program that is a support program for student teams at universities in these 35 countries, including Belgium. 72,000 students pass through the Enactus program every single year, being engaged in 4,000 projects every single year. Now, what is this guidance program? What is this ecosystem? The way we work, we organize workshops, we organize coaching, we organize mentorships, and then we also, at the end of the year, and we run in parallel to the academic years, we also have a key event, which is the National Expo in these different countries around the world. We believe that competition helps to bring out the best in people. It's not the only way, but it's one way. They share what they've done, the progress they've made over the year. And then the national champion in each of these 35 countries gets to represent its country at the Enactus World Cup, which normally in non-COVID-19 times means that we get together somewhere around the world in one of the 35 countries, sharing progress, sharing best practices with thousands of students. Now we have more than 10,000 participants in our recent, well, not so recent, in last year's online version of the World Cup. In Belgium, so that's Enactus in general. In Belgium, we are actually the newest kid on the block. And what is interesting is that so we're the newest in the Enactus community, which is, what is nice about that is that we have also seen this Enactus Belgium grow. It's a startup in itself, but of course we could use the experience gained in all the other countries. Now, what is our ecosystem like? Actually, we work with, and maybe to compare, if we look at the stages that the projects that our students work on, if we compare to what Pieter-Jan was sharing, then most of the projects that our students work on, and especially in Belgium, because we are only in our second complete year, they are in the ideation phase. So they're in the phase where they form a team, very important, where they think about what type of problem do we want to solve. They study the problem, they look at the needs, and then they start ideation process, developing solutions, prototyping. Those are the stages of projects that our students are in, just to give an idea. We work with partners, so we work with students, of course. We work with our academic partners. These are the higher education institutions, in our case, in Belgium and throughout Belgium, where we have Enactus teams, and there are 10 now in Belgium. And then we work with corporate and foundation partners. They, and this is very important part of the ecosystem, they support us financially, and that's of course very nice, but perhaps more importantly, they support us in the form of coaching and mentorships. And I just saw a quote from Maud, who's one of our students at the Enactus team in Ghent. She said, and we have our partners are BNP Paribas Fortis, KPMG, Allianz, Johnson & Johnson, Ormit, and very recently Waterlink. And Maud, one of our students in Ghent, and the founder of the team there, she said, for me, the mentorship program with Kobe, who's a manager at KPMG, was really a broadening experience. By sharing his experiences, he helped me to overcome challenges and look at things from a different perspective. This is just a little testimonial of how important our partners are to our support system. And not only that, it's also important that the partners gain something out of it, because we want to make sure that they continue to be engaged over time. And in fact, the employees of our partners, they confirm that this is also a very interesting experience for them, as they also gain skills. So this is important. Another important part of our ecosystem is our academic partners. So Nikolai Denchev, for example, is the university advisor for the VUB, for the Enactus team at the VUB. And he plays an important role in connecting, to the ecosystem around us, but also where needed, to contacts within the university. So these are the elements of the ecosystem that are really important to us. I don't know whether I should stop here or should I continue on talking about how to improve vibrancy of ecosystems, or should we get to that later and leave the floor to others now?
Well, yes, let's keep this for later and have the round. So I've heard a lot about the business model of Raaida. And she's a social entrepreneur, and well, basically we are looking at what social entrepreneurs think about those ecosystems, what they need, and how we can further help them. Raaida?
Thank you, Nikolai. And I want to thank the ELANet network, particularly Nikolai and Abel, for the invitation. It's very good to be here amongst peers and amongst academics that are interested in social entrepreneurship and how do we advance a robust conversation about this subject. And I don't want to start with my personal experience. I want to start a little bit with my own research. I finished my master's studies in social innovation a couple of years ago in the Cambridge Judge Business School. And Professors Paul Tracy and Neil Stott, the directors of the Cambridge Center for Social Innovation, have done a lot of analysis around how to enable social innovation. And I refer to social innovation as the creation of practical solutions for social complex problems. And Professors Stott and Tracy explain 3 ways in which we can enable social innovation. So they talk about entrepreneurship, intrapreneurship, and extrapreneurship. And I want to concentrate a little bit in this extrapreneurship concept, because unlike entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship, the concept is not common in the literature. But it's very important that we refer to it, especially when we want to discuss how to enable a more vibrant ecosystem and for social entrepreneurs. Social entrepreneurship captures the process of interorganizational actions that facilitate combinations of ideas, people, places, and resources to address social challenges and then make social change, tangible social change. So in this sense, extrapreneurs create things that are not about their own agency. They're also about the partnerships they create and the coordination and the co-branding of processes. just like social entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs, social extrapreneurs can be found in the public and the private and the social sectors, but they may also refer to academia, to networks, to social movements. And I think this is important to consider because all of us as social entrepreneurs are a little bit, you know, when we were asked to define ourselves in one of these three categories, if you define yourself as a social entrepreneur, there is no way that you can disconnect from the concept of being an extrapreneur. Because as a social entrepreneur, it is a mandate to build ecosystems and to possibilitate relationships that would allow us to have a much more robust conversation of what our context needs. In this sense, something that I find particularly very important, and this has been the objective of my research, is to analyze how telling the right stories about social entrepreneurs actually enables a better practice of our work. And in this sense, the power of storytelling becomes more important than ever. I think we've portrayed social entrepreneurs as superheroes, and I don't think social entrepreneurs are superheroes. They're just, you know, active agents of social change. But the narrative cannot come from someone who's trying to develop the project. The narrative has need to always include the beneficiaries, those who are supporting the causes, the whole spectrum of actors involved in the process. So in that sense, I want to refer a little bit about my main two projects, Social Back, our consultancy firm that started with the dream of building an ecosystem for social entrepreneurs in Barranquilla. When we started in Barranquilla, Colombia, when we started our consultancy firm, we were naive enough to believe that one firm would be able to build an ecosystem. And clearly, with the time, we learned that it doesn't work like that. But at that time, and this was probably 5 or 6 years ago, we were the only ones in the city discussing such concepts. And we are the first recognized, we don't have the name as an structural form because it doesn't exist in Colombia yet, but we're the first recognized social enterprise in the Colombian Caribbean. And it is always very good to go back to how we started and how we enabled a conversation in a region that wasn't thinking about these things. And the reason why I mention this is because this connects with our role as extrapreneurs, right? As members of the ecosystem that are trying to drive the conversation forward. And then my other hat is with the International Association for Volunteer Effort. This is a global organization that operates in over 70 countries, and its only purpose is to promote volunteering in all of the forms that it happens all over the world. And the reason why I bring this up as well is because this is another example of how the conversation needs to have different lenses. Volunteering is a key topic when we discuss social entrepreneurship. If it is for sure one of the ways in which social entrepreneurship starts is when you volunteer, when you go to the context, when you go to the ground, and when you learn about activities that others are doing, and you get a chance to see social needs with your own eyes on the ground. So I think, just to sum everything that I've set up, what's important to create more vibrant ecosystems for social entrepreneurs is to put beneficiaries and the needs of the social context in the center. And in whichever way this happens, it needs to remain our focus. It needs to remain our focus of action, and it needs to remain our focus for how we tell the stories about our work. So thank you very much, and I'm really excited about the possibility of continuing sharing these ideas and exploring other projects that colleagues are working on. Thank you.
Thank you, Raaida. And our fourth panelist, Sergio Casquero, is representing a social enterprise that also is quite ambitious, and it is called the Peruvian Social Incubator. They have also the ambition to consolidate the supportive ecosystem of social entrepreneurs in Peru. Sergio, if you feel better talking Spanish, go ahead.
Hello, Nikolai. Hello, Vel. I'm going to do my best effort in English. So maybe one or two words, maybe you can support me. Well, good day, everyone. My name is Sergio Casquero. I'm from Peru. I have a background in chemical engineering, and then I study an MBA in Centrum Católica, focus on strategic planning to develop one region of Peru. Then, by the end of 2019, and together with my friend, my colleague, Melanie Medina, who lives in Belgium, we found the Peruvian Social Incubator with the aim of improving economic, social, and environmental conditions in Peru through the incubation of sustainable enterprise. Our social enterprise focus its efforts on three main activities. First one, we provide business coaching to enhance the entrepreneurs' business knowledge and skills, to shorten their learning curve while guiding them to an economically viable business model. And then the second one is to access to networks at a national and international level to share to them the best practice while fostering a community for partners. And finally, we support them with applying for funding, both private and public sector. No? Now, last year, we conclude successfully our first incubation program here in Peru. This was a 6-month program, really good effort, and where we provide coaching, support, and personal side to a group of social entrepreneurs in Madre de Dios. Madre de Dios is one of the 24 regions of Peru. It's an Amazonian region that faced huge social, economical, and environmental challenges here, such as illegal gold mining, soil degradation, high levels of mercury concentration in human population and species in the region, obviously forced labor, illegal camps, among other challenges, no? So around 70% of the population who works in that are directly or directly in illegal activities. So it's a really challenge in this region. So it was a great experience for us because we start with the identification through the process of understanding their unique business model. Because the majority focus their entrepreneurial ventures around Amazonian fruits from that region and local resource, till the rewarding closure of the pitch program moment, no? Where we could see their growth and also how their social impact was really strengthened beside of the COVID-19 situation. Then we finished this at December, and all the entrepreneurs graduate. And this year, we have planned to broaden our program scope, including around 3 Peruvian regions here, from the north, the middle, and the south of Peru. We're having a direct positive impact on 40 social entrepreneurs approximately by the second half of the year. Okay, with that being said, and linking the learnings from TPCI activities to today's roundtable on ecosystem in support of the social entrepreneurs, I think it's really crucial to have a substantial support from all different actors of this ecosystem. To not only remove legal, social, or economical barriers, that obviously this is important, no? But also to create a space where enterprise driven by its purpose can flourish in a more equitable and fair way, no? I want to explain about, I just read about a study from Adner. Maybe one of you can know about it. It's about ecosystem as a structure. I think this is a great job of examining the relationships among ecosystems where all the activities, actors, positions, and links are interrelated, no? And where he also highlights the permanent alignments as a critical strategic challenge in the ecosystem as a structure. No, so we TPCI have, I think, a strong role on create networks and partnerships to make social impact sustainable and long-lasting. No, in addition to this, I believe that in Peru there is a great need to generate research on social business and its ecosystem, obviously, to further understand what are their current challenges, and while doing so, to design proper actions to tackle them. And for that, we need to partner universities, public sector, and private institutions, incubators, obviously, among other actors to create a robust strategy and solution in favor of the social entrepreneurs. To finalize my part, I would like to thank to Elanet Network for this invitation. We, TPCI, Melanie and I, are happy to contribute in this type of discussion that foster knowledge exchange and opportunities to partner with other Latin American countries and European countries as well. No, so thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. Thanks to all panelists for the introductory words. Now I will leave the good task of difficult questions to Abel Diaz. So you also can help us with ideas to understand, okay, what to do better and what is needed. But Abel, go ahead.
Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. For those joining from Latin America, my name is Abel. I am also part of the VUB Chair of Social Entrepreneurship team, and well, welcome everyone to this wonderful conversation. It's a topic that remains in my heart and part of also of my research. And welcome Pieter-Jan, Raaida, Lettemieke, and Sergio to the Elanet family. The first question is a little bit general, but we were listening to your interventions. Some of you talking about funding, some of you talking about students and volunteers, and the nice perception of social entrepreneurs, Raaida and Sergio. So we want to hear a little bit more from your perception. What is further needed to create vibrant ecosystem? What do you think today will be needed from not only from what you do, from your organization, but also from the rest of the stakeholders that are around those ecosystems? So I will propose a short intervention. Let's start with Pieter-Jan.
Thank you. I'll just pick one thing which I lack and which I think would contribute a lot to creating the right ecosystems and to support social entrepreneurs. So what I already mentioned is the matchmaking between co-founders, between people who have the same ambition to create diverse teams, because we often see that people have a nice product, nice plans, nice ambitions to create societal change through a business, but that they find it very difficult to create a team. And in an early stage of a startup, often the budget is lacking to just hire the right profiles, but you need people who are willing to really invest in an idea, in a solution. I think linking the people who have same ambitions, similar ambitions, and creating nice teams is really a crucial success factor. And I come back to the example of Coelect, where which originally were two different teams who had similar ideas, where the graduates from the VUB were more the business-oriented people, and they met at the competition some IT profiles who already started a small business, and they brought the two teams together, and they really created a balanced team. There are, of course, different other aspects, but I'll leave it with this one idea for the moment.
Thank you, Pieter-Jan. Let's now move on to Lettemieke.
Yes, thank you. Gracias, Abel. Very much agree, Pieter-Jan, about the teams. It's something that's actually something we start with at Enactus, but that doesn't mean that the teams are always right for the job to be done. Now, within Enactus, of course, we have another goal, which is to create this experiential learning space. And we always come across this tension between, on the one hand, providing the student teams with all the support that they can get in terms of coaching, in terms of helping them to find funding, provide the right matching, making sure they really go deep into the problem, meeting with the beneficiaries, being empathetic, etc., developing skills. And on the other hand, sometimes also just leaving them to it so that they can go through the experience, that they can have the experience. And what we in our society call fail, but really isn't failing, is all about learning and feeling it and then integrating it and then improving. So this is something that I believe is very important. It's a tension that we come across a lot, and is important, I guess, for all of us to look at, but in particular, of course, in the Enactus setting, because we work with students. One other point, if I may, where I think all ecosystems should at least be looking at, if we believe that, and I think we all do, that social entrepreneurs can contribute to wide-scale and lasting system change for the benefit of society, then we must also address those right issues and the issues that are going to really lead to that system change. And does that mean, it's more a question maybe than a comment, but does that mean that as ecosystems, we should also play a role in moving certain areas, highlighting certain areas where system change is needed, and looking at how social entrepreneurs can best find levers for system change. And we are trying to do that, and I'm not saying we're there, by sometimes picking challenges that we invite. So our students can pick their challenges, they can pick their SDG or combination of SDGs, but where we would say, well, this is such an important topic, or this is such an important area where system change is needed, we invite you to come up with solutions on this. And for example, this week we have just launched a challenge on water. So we're going to do an ideation sprint for 6 weeks, where we really almost invite students to be part of that, to feel what it is like, etc. But so in a way, we move them in a certain direction. And so the question is, I believe we should, to some extent, also play a role as ecosystems in moving the needle at the system level, where, of course, social entrepreneurs, this is where they start, but where individually they may not always get to.
Thank you, Lettemieke, for the intervention. Now let's move on to Raaida.
Thank you, Abel. And I mean, I couldn't agree more with Pieter-Jan and Lettemieke. I mean, I think this is what we need further is a much more cohesive perspective of all of this that involves all sectors, all perspectives, and that allows social entrepreneurs to have a voice that is meaningful in this system. And with a voice, I mean elevating the practical, the tangible impact that the social entrepreneurs are achieving. And for that, it is very important that we focus on concrete narratives that allowed us to connect all of those parts, all of the elements in the ecosystem. And with elements, I mean actors, sectors, everyone involved. I think, we tend to go around social entrepreneurship, social innovation, and everything surrounding social impact as a new practice. And that is as far away from the truth as possible. It is very important in order for us to move forward to have a long view of social entrepreneurship. What has it mean? How has it evolved? So that we can concentrate on current challenges and build ecosystems that are not only considering what's currently happened, but also what social entrepreneurs have had to battle with for many years. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for networks like Elanet, particularly in this role, because what we need is connectors that are bringing us together, and not only at the national or regional levels, but at the global level, with a perspective of moving forward together. I mean, I think our colleague from Peru made very important remarks on concrete needs in terms of government support, in terms of access to resources. But what I would like to shine a light on is what Lettemieke was saying, and this is part of the Enactus process, is we need to have a much more practical perspective of social entrepreneurship. We need to stop romanticizing social entrepreneurship. It's a concrete practice. It has benefit. It needs to work. And for that, there are processes that allowed us to pivot if our products, if our ideas work or not. If we have a much more practical perspective on social entrepreneurship, that would be beneficial for the advancement of the field. And that is not to say that the romantic part is not there. Of course, we're solving critical social issues, but we're solving them in a tangible way. So I would say we need to, just as a conclusion, two things: move forward together and move forward with a strong and cohesive narrative.
Thank you very much, Raaida. And let's now give the floor to our colleague, Sergio, from the Peruvian Social Incubator.
Thank you, Abel. And yes, I think all of you have interesting ideas, and I'm so agree with you. I think maybe it's important. I want to quote some of the phrase from Raaida, that we need to put the social entrepreneurs' need at the center. I think that's a really, really important idea. And for example, here in Peru, we discovered that one of the problems of the social entrepreneurs is that they have good ideas, but they don't have maybe the support of professional skills. A lot of them, they maybe have 2 or 3 works at the same time. And obviously when they want to access to finance programs, or maybe a challenge for a budget, they can accept this, or they can't get it because they don't have obviously the professional support. And that was, we focused in that, like the one topic for the first 3 years. We discover and select around 30 or 40 social entrepreneurs, and we want to give them a program, a training program about 6 months with all of the knowledge of the social entrepreneur, of the social business. Maybe they want to study about financial, about marketing, about supply chains, about all of that topics, and they can get to this the university maybe, and we are like a bridge. So we, like you said, we need to move forward from the theoretical vision to a practical vision, because they need this training, these topics at the field, and so it's important to give them what they need. And obviously, maybe the theoretical vision could be interesting for the private sector. Here in Peru, for example, we have a lot of private enterprise that they have budget for corporative social responsibility activities, but they don't understand maybe that there's not only volunteer activities. We have a good opportunity to give to these social entrepreneurs the topics, the studies, the training, the coaching activities, so they can understand and learn to have a good activity, not only immediately object. No, so that's our effort, and we are really love with this. No, we have that challenge.
Thank you, Sergio, for your intervention. And okay, and the next question, it's a little bit also interesting because by looking through the chat, the majority of participants on this roundtable comes from a university. There are professors, there are researchers, there are administrators from the university. And that's a question maybe for our panelists, but also to the audience. What do you think universities can do more to support and to enable this support ecosystem for social entrepreneurs? What type of activities can university embrace? What other, let's say, initiative can universities take? Give us some ideas, and also for the ELANet project that is just starting. Please go ahead. Maybe let's start with the panelists or also people from the audience. If you can participate, this is also the moment.
And I would like to quickly jump in. Please tell us what are things that your university absolutely shouldn't do. So if there are things that you say professors stay away from, that would be also good to know. So instead of thinking, okay, give us more job, tell us realistically, okay, those things are for you and those are not for you.
Nikolai, I wanna say something quickly to that specific thing, to the not do thing, and it's let's not build unrealistic images of social entrepreneurs, please. And I think particularly the academy, universities should be really exploring what it means to be a social entrepreneur, challenges, reality, but these images of superheroes, we don't need them. They're not serving social entrepreneurs. And in many cases, universities are helping to perpetuate these images. So that's a no. If you wanted one, that's one.
Maybe do we move forward to Lettemieke? Thank you, Raaida, for that appreciation.
Yeah, very passionate and powerful contribution, Raaida. Something else that is not necessarily needed at universities is that to include courses on social entrepreneurship per se, even though that can be very useful. So I think it would be much more interesting to look at what is it that we need. And I'm also looking at this through the lens of what I've seen with Enactus. What is it that we need to create these entrepreneurial, new generation, empathetic, responsible leaders those are the type of skills and the type of critical thinking, taking action, etc., that you don't necessarily learn in the classroom. And that is by no means a criticism, but anything that universities can do to stimulate that would be great. But it doesn't necessarily need to happen within the classroom. It could be through programs that are linked to the university and university colleges, that are welcomed by universities, that are stimulated by universities, that are initiatives or programs that help students, future leaders, to develop those skills that are so needed to achieve system changes that we all want for a better world. So if it's not integrated in the programs per se, that in the end is not the end of the world, but the importance is to welcome it. One way to stimulate that a little bit is what we see rising now in Belgium a little bit more, is the realization that we as a society, we don't only put on the market qualified professionals in a certain field, but we also develop responsible citizens. And the universities increasingly see that they can play a part in promoting this. So what you see some universities do is that they provide an opportunity to students to be active in their societal engagement and learn from it. And it could be social entrepreneurship, obviously, it could be other things, but it could be contributions, societal contributions from which they learn and that are promoted by the university. And it could be that they get credits for that, but it's not absolutely needed. So that would be something to repeat, something not to do or not necessarily to do, and something to do for universities.
Abel, can I add to that quickly?
Of course. Go ahead.
Thank you. And I completely agree. I mean, the role of universities is in building the correct and needed partnerships is essential. I see universities as the key extrapreneurship in these extrapreneurs in this kind of tier that I explained earlier. But one thing, and I see, and this is important to mention, because I see some of the members of the program Univoluntarios in Colombia connected. I think universities play a very strategic role in allowing students to learn more about their context. And that doesn't happen in the classroom, as Lettemieke was saying. That happens on the ground. And I think programs like Univoluntarios, programs that actually allow students to get to know the context and the reality in a much more deeper way are very important in order to spark social entrepreneurship. Social entrepreneurship, great ideas to solve complex social issues cannot happen if you don't know those complex social issues. So I think the role of universities in allowing students to get to know their context deeper, it's essential.
Wonderful, Raaida. Thank you very much. Any reactions from Pieter-Jan?
Yeah, maybe to build on that, I think, and I've been involved in some evaluations recently of the commitment of universities for the Sustainable Development Goals. And I think many of the elements are quite similar for social entrepreneurship. I think universities need to really mainstream this impact focus in all their education, in their teaching and in their research, and really also, I think, learn from the impact sphere to really focus on what their societal impact is and how they can improve that. I think that's both in the outside the classroom, but also in all the contents they are researching and they are teaching, to focus really on what are the contents, what are the skills needed to contribute to a better society and not only stay as to the economics, and definitely many things have changed in the programs which are taught, but it's still the classical economical theory often, and then there's maybe one course on social entrepreneurship. And I think definitely that's not what the university should do. It should be in everything which is taught and which is researched to focus on what is the impact on the on society of what we are doing.
We are very happy that this is our course, you know.
I'm looking also at the time, but before we finish, let's give the word to Sergio. And also I see that Jeannie has a comment. So let's go first to Sergio.
Okay, well, thank you. I think it's obviously so important the participation of university in the social entrepreneur ecosystem. Maybe I could support with two ideas. First one, it's important to incorporate in their study programs course about entrepreneurship, social business, no, and corporative social responsibility, like an official course in the universities of the Latin America, maybe. The government, I think, has also a role here. They need to create incentives or regulations that supports universities and schools, maybe, to incorporate this knowledge, no, into their study programs. And the second one, I think it's important that universities can also create partnerships with local or regional companies. Maybe here in Peru we have, like I said, 24 regions, and we can find a lot of opportunities for this, and work the company with the university in social and CSR activities, and to share value creating activities. No, I think a partnership that allows not only expose students, no, to their social impact solutions in a practical way, but also to understand how these companies drive sustainable efficiency and share them with the world by scientific or academical articles, no, on publications, I think.
Thank you very much, Sergio. Now let's move on to the audience, because we see many interesting interventions in the chat. Let's start first with Jeannie, and then let's give the floor to some of our colleagues in the chat as well to hear about their initiative.
Well, thank you. First of all, to thank you for having the possibility to listen to our guests in the roundtable, very insightful. And first of all, I want to share my view as an international educator and not a professor, as an administrator, international administrator. And this is how I see it, in my opinion, where the university plays a key role at different levels. First of all, in the governance and the commitment and engagement in these initiatives of social entrepreneurship, I think this is very important. And also what you mentioned in terms of the partnership is another aspect, but I believe that the curriculum is very powerful and the professors are the catalyst of change. And this is how I wanted to share it with you from the perspective of internationalization. Now, and for the most recent years, there are researchers in this area of internationalization, specifically internationalization at home, where it includes the curriculum, the formal curriculum and informal curriculum, where professors can deliberately incite change in the classroom and then generate the impact in society. So maybe I think internationalization plays a key role in these type of initiatives of social entrepreneurship, where the professor, why do I say this? Because when the students are in our classrooms, or when the students are at the universities, they're mainly, the most of the time, they're taking their different courses at the university throughout a 4 or 5 year period. And the time they spend, valuable time, is in the classroom. And there's where all the students, or most of the students, have the chance to be able to benefit if, regarding all these skills in social entrepreneurship. I think, like I said, both the formal curriculum, which are the subjects, is very, it has to be intentional and it has to be assessed, but also the informal curriculum where we have the volunteering or projects like Enactus that I think was valuable to see how students actively participate are a key role. So I see that both sides are very important. The professors, the students, and having it be part of the intentional part of the academic program. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with the audience. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, Edgar.
I just wanted to add, to highlight to what Raaida said about the need for students to know the context, to be aware of what they see in their context. Sometimes within the university, they don't have these opportunities. Of course, there are community links, offices that have to be very active in doing that. I think it's very important for students to know what the realities are and how they can begin working in supporting these people. I mean, beneficiaries are very important because even more important at this time, because we are living in a very big crisis all over the world. So the students have to be aware of how they can be helpful, not just by having a course. Sometimes I think universities are interested in supporting the industry. It's just one side of this issue, but the other side is how they can be very supportive in allowing students to be more aware of the context and how they can be very helpful in doing that.
If I could add to that, sorry, my name is Judith. I would like to share a nice example of the project my university is working on. So I am located in Belgium, in Ghent, and I work at the University College Velde. And we created 3 years ago a lab project. So in this lab project, what we do is to bring students from different backgrounds. So we have business students, we have psychology students, and graphic designers, and we put them together with also international people who arrived in Belgium and are looking for a job and have maybe more professional experience. And we put them together in a module that is a 6-month project in which they need to tackle a social challenge or a climate challenge. We work with service design, so we give them a little bit of the basics of service design, in which they need to first do the research in the project, empathize, and then start creating a prototype and testing. And this is why I would like to add in here, because Edgar, you bring a very important point, that the students don't get in touch with the target audience. So for example, right now we have a group working on the target group homeless people in Belgium. And our students have actually been to the shelters, slept in the shelters, just to understand the reality of homeless people and see how they can create something that can solve their problems. So in this regard, we are bringing together people from different backgrounds, working with service design and creating a social a solution that solves this social problem. And I thought it was an interesting example to share, because after 3 years we have had amazing results with the students, because students that come from a psychology background can learn to read a financial plan and defend a financial plan, because they have been so immersed with the group with people from different backgrounds.
Thanks, Judith. I see also that Patricia Fernandez wants to share something related to the students' experiences. Patricia?
Yes, hello to everyone. Well, actually, thank you, Nikolai, and thank you to all the speakers. It's been very insightful and very interesting. I'm very happy to be here. And well, I'm actually an intern in the project of Elanet, and I'm currently also a student. So I wanted to let you know also my experience on how I got to know social entrepreneurship. Last year, I had the luck to have a class in social entrepreneurship that it was given by Nikolai and Abel. And since I was very small, I always liked volunteering, but I always had an ambition for finance. And I wanted to relate this with the idealistic image that people were commenting about related to social entrepreneurship. So I was like, I like project management, I like finance. I'm never gonna be able to also be a social entrepreneur. I'm not so creative. I'm not, well, that idealistic part of social entrepreneurship. But actually, Nikolai and Abel made us in our course of social entrepreneurship get in touch with a social entrepreneur or social entrepreneurship and analyze their business model and see how we could help. And that gave us an amazing insight of how it works and how actually no matter what talent or ambition you believe you have as a student or as a person, you can get involved in the best way you can. And I wanted to relate that to the idealistic image that I think is true. And also, well, even more now with this internship, I'm getting the luck to get to know how it works. And I wanted to thank universities to actually create this subject. I remember the first day of class that all the students were asking Nikolai, why social entrepreneurship and not entrepreneurship? That is what we want. But I think most of the time we don't even know what social entrepreneurship entails. So I wanted to thank Nikolai and Abel to show it to us. And I wanted to share, well, how it worked for me. Thank you very much.
Patricia. Thank you. I see that Rudy has several messages for us. Rudy, can you please elaborate? You're muted, Rudy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So yeah, I'm kind of speaking in a double role because I had been a social entrepreneur about 8 years of my life, and acting now as a director of a social entrepreneurship organization, which has a lot of work to do with universities and schools of applied sciences. So it's very interesting to say, I hope you didn't get me wrong with my commentaries. What is very important is really the direct touch to practice, to the social entrepreneurs, because there's a practice out there, and the practice, and this is very much a part of the ecosystem, can be quite tough sometimes. So when I'm involved to make some lectures, for example, guest lectures at universities, it's often kind of rewarding for the students to see, okay, this is the theory and not as something from practice. And I think it's not a big deal to get to the practice as well. No one of you has to become a social entrepreneur, of course, but it's very interesting to get a direct line. What is the issues of the people out there working in these fields? And there are many different fields of social entrepreneurship, by the way. And this is what I love about the whole topic, because you address all kinds of challenges in the world. And there are a lot of things in common for them, maybe also depending on the country, by the way. It's a lot about this ecosystem as well. So it makes a lot of sense to invite those people, to really get the students in touch with them. And one more thing, I think it makes a lot of sense to have a certain goal. I liked a lot what had been said before, that the teachers, the professors can be catalysts of change. I see that's the same role here. But what I think is very important in this matter to say, it makes a lot of sense to have goals. What is the goal of the lecture? Is it to make people social entrepreneurs? Can be. Is it to say, how can you support them? Which we heard right before as well, to really get the right understanding, because I can only tell from Austria, hopefully someone else from Austria here, hopefully not. What we have, that the topic of social entrepreneurship is a very popular one by now. It's a really trend topic, especially for universities and schools of applied sciences, and they're realizing more and more projects. But there's one thing that many or some of them, let's say, realize projects without having this connection to practice, and then they produce certain theories which are not always the practice. It's very easy to say. So do not research in an own world without practice. It's that, yeah, because otherwise you have a lot of material, you have a lot of research, but it's not touching the ground, and this is not exactly helping the social entrepreneurs. They are very open. This is the great thing. Social entrepreneurs are very open to be contacted. They love to talk about their story and about the whole company. So get in touch with them and listen to them. It makes a lot of research evident as well. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Rudy. And probably you know that Arashid will be starting to teach a course on social entrepreneurship this fall. He's on this meeting right now, probably feeling the urge to keep in touch with you and practical involvement with this.
Hi, can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm from Programa Universitarios here in Barranquilla, Colombia. And I think that for universities, working service learning methodology is a key to promote or to work in this process, because here we have, like, in the volunteer we use this, and in the university we work with this methodology, and the teachers or the professors in the classes, we work with different programs and in different faculties. And what we do is we as a volunteer program are the bridge between the academy and the community. And with the professors, we create, or we work to create, or to immerse, I don't know how to say it, to in the curriculums, the practice, the practice, okay, let me think. we try to, we work with professors to let the students think the academy in between the walls of the university and between the walls of the classroom, and like guide them, the professor guide them to think in projects, to propose solutions for social problems. And in that way, we link what they are learning in the classroom with what the communities need, what the people need in their reality. And they start to create solutions, or to think in solutions, and in propose real solutions for real problems in the real context. And that give them like the opportunity to not just have the knowledge, or the knowledge that they have that they're learning in their classroom, but also create and work with the people to create solutions and work with them, not to guide them, or to raise the awareness in them to think their reality beyond what their environment are showing them. And like in this way, the student learn more and make a facilitator, the professor become a catalyst of change, and the community like also can be like think beyond their limitations and can work in their to improve their possibilities and to work in their opportunities.
Thanks, Jessica. It's indeed we can be catalysts and to help students and to help them being involved in society. I see that Eden raised her hand, maybe as a last comment, because we are slightly over time. Eden?
Yes, basically it's related to the service learning thing, but I will summarize, I think, this in 3 words. I think the universities have a role in creating mindset. I had a meeting yesterday with Bobson, and their entrepreneurial line is, they call it entrepreneurial thought and action. So it's a mindset that I think we can create, not necessarily on business students, but all of the different programs that we offer in the university. If our curriculum is designed to connect creating those mindsets and involving them, exposure. So the mindset exposure is through the service learning aspect. And also I'd like to connect it with what Raaida said, that avoiding that romanticizing the social entrepreneurs. And the way to do that is also to encourage our community or academic communities to pick the low-hanging fruits. I remember in the UK, there was a university who encouraged the square mile principle. I can't remember the university, but it's the square mile principle. What can you do in your context, in the vicinity first, because sometimes we dream of big social impact, but I think we could actually start in our small community. So they had this program of square mile as a way of encouraging service learning. So that helps also in exposing the students to the problems that are in their in the communities that they are very close to. So I think those are the 3 things that universities can also do: mindset exposure and the low-hanging fruit that you could do.
Thanks, Eden. Robert, let's have Robert as a final comment.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, no, thank you very much. My comment will be very short. I just want to highlight that I like the approach of entrepreneurship as a different way to think and, of course, to work this issue of a social system. It will always have an impact and a positive relation with external stakeholders. It is I enjoyed that idea. And finally, I also want to say that I enjoy the idea of focusing on research in volunteering and its management, because volunteer organizations are very important for economic and especially for social and human development. As you guys are as expert in this kind of issues, if you can advise us some top scientific journals about this kind of research of management of volunteering, I will really appreciate it. Thank you very much for letting me in. I am Daniel Gijena from Universidad Autónoma Juan Michel Sarach from Bolivia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Robert. And I actually want to thank our panelists, Lettemieke, Raaida, Pieter-Jan, and Sergio for their contribution and for their ideas. I would like to thank everyone from from the audience who joined and who shared ideas. So there are many do's and many don'ts, but let's keep in mind that well, the most important are the social entrepreneurs. The most important are the social issues that we anyway have to resolve in our societies. And by putting hands together, I think it will be easier to resolve them by developing ecosystems around social entrepreneurs and social and environmental challenges. It will be easier to resolve those. And I would say, yeah, let's LNet together, let's keep in touch, and let's work together to build ecosystems, support social entrepreneurs, support the solution of SDGs. So please keep in touch and let's work together on those things. Thank you very much and take care.
Thank you.